Well, some exciting medical news recently approved by the FDA. The world's first medical device can be implanted in the tiniest babies, weighing as little as 2 pounds, using a minimally invasive procedure to treat a common heart defect. Gigi Copes has more.
Nearly 60,000 premature babies are born every year in the U.S., and 1 out of 5 have a significant life-threatening opening in the heart. Dr. Evan Zahn implanted the world's first and only Abbott Piccolo device, recently approved by the FDA specifically for premature babies. Parents of pediatric patients who urgently need corrective treatment for their PDA now have hope.
A PDA is a large vessel. You can see it here on the heart model. It's this little white structure that connects our two what are supposed to be separate circulations, the circulation that feeds our body and the circulation that feeds our lung. And in premature babies, this is incredibly common.
So almost at birth, he was born at 26 weeks and 6 days. Within days, the neonatologist had identified that the PDA was still open and that they were going to monitor it to see how it was going to affect him as he journeyed through his NICU stay.
Anthony Daly and his wife never imagined they would be watching their baby Tony fight for his life. He was born prematurely with a common birth defect that requires urgent treatment to survive.
Unfortunately, at one point, as Dr. Zahn pointed out, Tony was starting to struggle with where the blood was flowing in his body, and he was developing some side effects that were life-threatening.
The most common symptom we see is really breathing difficulties, respiratory distress. Most of the babies actually have to be put on a ventilator or respirator because the effect of the PDA is that it's really flooding their lungs with extra blood, and these are already premature small lungs that aren't quite developed yet.
Dr. Zahn came walking in through the door and explained to us the Abbott Piccolo device and how it would really potentially change Tony's forecast and outlook. And my wife and I talked about it and entrusted our son with Dr. Zahn, and obviously the outcome was amazing.
Now we have the ability to tell parents like Anthony for his son that we can treat this in a very easy, safe, fast, minimally invasive manner where you end up with just a Band-Aid on your leg at the end of the day.
That the outcome for Tony was going to be so much better that we just, you sort of close your eyes and pray, and the procedure happens, and we're in a waiting room, and Dr. Zahn comes out, and you're sort of trying to read his emotion from the minute he opens the door as to whether it went well or not, and he broke into a smile, and that relieved our nerves right away. And even our son started to just, I would say within hours, certainly within a day, everything changed. The prognosis, the outlook, his other neonatologists, it was all quite remarkable. And for us to go from one day worrying that our son was going to die to the next day they start talking about discharging him was unbelievable.
So it's a very simple procedure. We go through a tiny pinhole in the groin, like we do many cardiac catheterizations, and we put a catheter, which is like a very soft piece of very thin spaghetti. We wind that up through the heart, watching it on TV, which is something we do every day. And then the Piccolo device is a self-expanding, very soft mesh made of memory wire, and we deliver it directly into the PDA like a plug. And one of the beauties of this device is if it's not absolutely perfect, we have the ability to withdraw the device and choose a different size or a different way to implant it. And once we're completely happy with it and it's fixed the problem, we just release it from its delivery cable and it stays in there for life.
Immediately after, I think that the doctors were all sort of really impressed. His trajectory was only onward and upward, and he was released from the hospital, and 3 years later he's a healthy toddler playing basketball and running around, probably a little bit exhausting his mother and me, and there's no side effects. When you look back on where we were then and where we are now, it means everything. because I've got to enjoy fatherhood, and our son has had a healthy and happy life. And you know, it's hard to say what would have happened had it not been for Dr. Zahn and the Piccolo device.
There is plenty of information on the web at abbottpiccolo.com if people would like to read up on more on this.
I'm Gigi Copes reporting for California Life HD.